All right, so in this video, I want to talk about precomps. Precomps are collections of layers that can be reused, multiplied, retimed, and they serve as one of the key means to kind of wrangle projects of greater complexity. So let me show you how this works. Let's say I have this one little spinny thing here, and I want to have a bunch. So what I could do, of course, is just have a bunch of layers, move them all around. Um, and that's fine, right? But what if I wanted to retime all these things? So I could, it's not too big a deal to grab these keys and move it around. But what if there was like a very specific kind of curve I put on these things? We haven't covered that yet, but let's say I like finessed this animation. Now I got to finesse all these other animations. So what I could do is turn one of these layers into a precomp, and what that lets me do is recycle the same animation all over the place. And then, well, let me just show you. So I got this one little spinny thing. So to make a precomp, I select the layer and I go Layer, Precompose. You can also use the hotkey, which is what I would recommend. Shift, Command, C. So let's try that. Shift, Command, C. I'm just going to leave it all to the defaults, and I'll call this Spin Pre. All right, so now when I play, nothing's changed. Everything is exactly the same animation-wise, but the layer has changed color, and if I hit U, there's no keyframes in there. All the keyframes are stored in here. All right. So where this gets interesting is if I go back up a level, now I can make a bunch. And let's move them around here. I'm going to turn on my grid, move this one, and then we'll snap one over here, and that one. Now they're all spinning. But if I wanted to change anything, what I could do is go into the precomp, spin pre, and when I change something here, let's say I slow down the resolve, all of them will follow along. So now I have all these shapes and they're being controlled by 3 keyframes. And if you want to look at both the higher level comp and the precomp at the same time, you go Command, Alt, Shift, N, right? And then hit this lock. And so then over here, we'll do spin pre, and here we'll do spin. So for example, if I wanted to, let's go back to the way it was. If I wanted to have this overshoot be bigger, or let's say less, right? I can just do it here, and I can see the effect of it there. I can have 2 windows going simultaneously. And what you tend to want to do in terms of animation is it's nice to have some offset. So that's our first one. I'm going to say, let's change the order. So I'm going to cut this. Actually, I'm going to grab this one, then that one, that one, that one, that one. Cut it, paste it. So now I've switched the order around. So what should happen, there we go, that one's last. And then I'm just going to stagger them in time. And so now I have this kind of complex animation, and there's only 3 keyframes, right? I'm reusing it, and I'm sliding it around in time and repositioning it to make something more complex. But I don't have to stop there. So what I could do is I could take this line that we have, and I set in to set the ins and outs in After Effects. You can drag it, or you can hit B for the in, N for the out. Right click on this bar and trim it. Then what I can do, grab all this, Command Shift C, Command, what is it? Command Shift C, right? And then I can call this spin group. And now I have a bunch of lines, right? So I can grid and 1, 2, 3. I'm going to change the order again. Paste. Offset them a little. So this idea of like offsetting and overlapping motion, called an offset. We'll just do that. And you know, if I go to the beginning of my sequence here, they're already happening. And so everything is being driven by this one set of keyframes, this one object. So now I can slide all of it back in time. If I go here, another one. And if I want to finesse this thing, no problem. I'll meter that. If I want to finesse this thing, let's say I don't want it to be so sharp in the beginning, I want it to ease out, I can just adjust this one keyframe and everything else will go for a ride. All right. So it could be a single layer, it could be a group of layers. It's a way of reusing, repackaging, and retiming assets. The other cool thing you can do is you can take the same animation and have like overlap with itself. So to do that, an example of that is here. I'll just hide this for a second. I'll unlock that, and I'll go to this comp, which is basically, it's just scaling. All right. So what I can do is I can make this a pre-comp again, wipe, pre, cool. And I will go in here, hit U to show everything, slide it back in time. And then once again, make a few copies, duplicate it, slide it back. Now it's white on top of white. I can't actually see anything. So what I can do is play with this, which is fill. And what fill does is it takes whatever alpha, whatever shape you have, and it will override whatever color you've set with the color that you pick. So I can have red, yellow, blue, and I can have this whole thing blue. So red, yellow, blue, triad. And now I can have this overlapping, pretty complex animation, and really it's just one object and two keyframes. All right. So yeah, that's just the beginning of precomps, but you can do a lot with that.